The wrong button.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Go for
This
it.
this created a potential loophole for money laundering, and as the purchase of real estate with cash could be used to launder funds from illicit activities such as drug trafficking, corruption, terrorism, and all of that. And so that's really the history of it and what brought this around. The current GTO, which is actually the current ruling that stands today, is Geographic Targeting Order Rule. It went into effect April 15th, 2025. It's now extended through February 28th, 2026. So this is actually already in place in some parts of the country. California hosting a few of the cities this is in place, and we'll get into that. So some of this reporting is already going on, and you just might not be aware of it because your lenders or title company are actually doing that for you. The purchase amount does have a threshold of $300,000 for each covered area, with the exception of Baltimore, which is a threshold of $50. $50,000, I'm sorry. This covers residential real estate transactions, which you'll see is the same in the new order. There's no conventional financing is being obtained. So in other words, it's cash or other types of financing that is not in your conventional type of financing. And the buyer is an entity. So we're talking about like trusts, corporations,
yeah.
things like that. Go ahead.
LLCs.
Right.
Yeah.
Dia, quick question on the purchase amount threshold is 300,000. Is that the cap or the minimum?
That's the minimum.
Okay.
That's the base threshold. That's
Okay.
currently today, and that has been going on.
Okay.
Title insurance company is actually right now the reporting party, unless it's a lender that actually has to, like if you're getting a loan and they have a process called SARS where they report, it's a suspicious activity report. So if they at any point feel like there's something crazy going on with where this money's coming from, they have an actual legal obligation to report that through the SARS process. So that's how the reporting goes. Okay, so this is actually right off the FinCEN site. So this is the FinCEN Renews Residential Real Estate Geographic Targeting Orders, which is what we just talked about. This is the news release that came out just this October, extending this until March 1st. So originally, and we'll talk about this, it was supposed to begin December 1st, 2025. And you guys probably noticed that in your car purchase packet, there's already a form for disclosure in there. So you're already having to complete that. Obviously check with your broker on what's required, but that's already been put into the purchase packet. So this is just notice that it's been extended until March 1st. What are geographic targeting orders? So the real estate related geographic targeting orders require right now title insurance companies to collect and report information about people involved in certain residential transactions. This tool is primarily used by FinCEN to detect and prevent money laundering. The authority to issue the GTO is granted by the Bank Secrecy Act. Okay, and GTOs are issued for 6-month terms with option to renew, revise, and or expand. So what they did is that was going to end December 1st. They just extended it again to March 1st. So they continually go back in, revise, take a look at it, decide if they need to add a location to it, that sort of thing.
Dia, before you move on, Luis Martinez has a quick question.
Okay.
So what happens if someone buys an all-cash property for $250,000? Does it need to be reported?
Well, it's not going to be reported to FinCEN right now. It's because it's not at that threshold, but that depends on where they're purchasing. So we'll get into what counties are part of this current GTO. But you're still, if there's financing involved, your lender is still going to be taking a look at that because they have an obligation right now to actually, and that will never change. Actually, they always have an obligation to report any suspicious activity with regards to where money's coming from. So they have to report it. or big fines, big loss of license, all kinds of stuff. So that is the current threshold. So what is the purpose of the order? And so this is what's really important, because this is actually going to follow on through to the March 1st new rule. First of all, it strengthens anti-money laundering controls, the AML controls. It prevents misuse of shell companies in real estate. It promotes ownership transparency, enforces compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act, which is the BSA. And then title and escrow professionals play a key role in implementation and reporting. And we should probably say your mortgage professionals as well as part of that. So that's the purpose. The geographic areas that are currently being reported. So this is the existing law that's going to be changing. California, we have Los Angeles, Santa Clara, San Diego. So those of you that are in San Diego, San Francisco, and San Mateo. So if you're doing any purchases within any of those counties in California that are cash, they currently are being reported to FinCEN through your title company. Okay. Also, this includes key counties in New York, Florida, Texas, Colorado, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Maryland. You can kind of get the sense of that. So East Coast there. And it covers real estate, residential real estate transactions. Luis, this is your question. The thresholds are 300,000 or more in most areas, with the exception of Baltimore, the city county of Baltimore. Okay. And it's to focus on high risk markets with significant cash purchases. So all very high, the housing prices are very high there, obviously, expensive to purchase in these areas. And and also destinations, obviously. So any questions on that, on the current order? You guys didn't even know that was happening, right? So what triggers reporting? Residential property purchased by a buyer that is a legal entity. Okay, so again, Faith, you want to list those out for us?
A legal entity, so this is what's current, right?
Right, correct. A legal
So
entity.
trusts, LLCs, corporations,
Yep,
legal
Any kind
entities,
of-
not individuals, basically.
not an individual, correct.
So if you're a husband and a wife as joint tenants, something like that, that wouldn't trigger it. But
Right.
if you're in a trust, corporation, LLC.
Correct. Okay. Or purchases made without bank. So purchases made without bank financing, which is basically, well, some cash, but it could be other forms of payment. So payment includes one or more of the following: cash, cashiers, certified personal or business checks, which we don't purchase houses with those anymore. Money orders, wire transfers, though, we do that. And virtual currency, of course. And then even partial use of these payment types triggers reporting. So let's say you're getting a loan and somebody, I think, Faith, we talked about this, if there's any gift funds, maybe they're coming from a family member and it's cash and it hits that threshold. So this could happen in San Diego. Maybe you're buying a $2.5 million home, and you're getting $1.5 million from a family member, and then you're financing another $1 million with the bank, so that they're taking care of that part of it. But that 1.5 gifting, that actually would trigger this reporting. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Keep me straight there. All right. What data must be collected? Buyer's legal entity name. This is really interesting too. Beneficial owners with 25% or greater ownership. So this could be current owners, but it also could be beneficiaries of that, like who would end up with that. So if you're, for example, if you're in a trust and you've got, 2 kids and they're beneficiaries and they each get 50% of the ownership at some point, we're also going to be required to report that currently. Government issued identification for each party, property address and purchase price, and methods of payments. These must be filed within 30 days of the closing through the BSA e-filing system. So any of you that have corporations or you pay your taxes that way, like if you have an EIN number or a TIN number, you're actually probably paying your taxes through the BSA system. So there's currently a portal that Title is currently going into and putting this data into. And we will be doing the same. We're just kind of waiting for some of that. All right. Any questions on the current rule?
Yes, we do have one more question. Riverside and San Bernardino counties are not currently on the list. Does that mean that they don't have to report?
They're not currently on the list. So yes, they're not currently on the list, but hold your horses. Right. All right, so new reporting rule effective March 1st. This is all the big stuff that everybody's talking about and why you have that new disclosure in your purchase packet. So they announced the postponement March 1st to reduce business burden. The reason they postponed it is to reduce the business burden and ensure effective regulation. Part of it has to do with the fact that whose reporting responsibility has changed a little bit. It's not just going to fall on a title company in certain areas. So there is some administration that has to take place, and it wasn't enough notice, and that's why it went from December to March 1st. Okay. Here is the new rule summary. Faith, you want to take this one?
Yeah, FinCEN is issuing a final rule to require certain persons involving in real estate closings and settlements to submit reports and keep records on certain non-financial transfers of residential property to specified legal entities and trusts on a nationwide basis. So,
Nationwide. Yeah.
yeah, so the new rule is the entire United States. And it's going to be very similar to the way it was before, where it's legal entities, so trusts, LLCs, corporations. But this doesn't mean, I'm not usually the one who likes to read all of this because it's very legal mumbo jumbo. But the way that we understand moving forward after March 1st is it doesn't necessarily need to be on all cash transactions moving forward. So this could be a hard money loan. It could be a seller carryback. So they've now expanded all of the different types of transactions that they're going to put all settlement agencies through. So it's no longer under just title anymore. It's all settlement agencies, escrow, title, no matter what. And then
Correct.
it's even broader than that, and we'll get into that
And we'll get
more
into
as
it.
well.
Yep. So basically the rule describes, as Faith just said, describes the circumstances which a report must be filed, who must file it, what information needs to be reported, and when it's due. And then they're expected to obviously assist the Department of Treasury with money laundering. So, trying to identify those situations. Transactions, I want to note this, made directly to an individual are not covered by this rule. Okay, so as long as there's, if I was selling Faith a house, it's just her and I. We're not putting it. It's just me and Faith. We're not under this rule. We're not subject to this ruling. Okay. And this link right here, actually, you can go to federalregister.gov and research that if you're into it. All right. So the new rule.
Real quick,
Yes,
quick
go ahead.
before we move on. Annie was asking, will it include finance properties? And I believe that was already happening, correct? With
some, it depends. Yeah. So Annie, we actually have a list of what finance properties, and I think Faith touched on that a little bit, but I'll let you see a visual so you can kind of, connect it. Right now it applies to any state. So it's nationwide, any state. It's not specific cities or counties any longer. And there is no monetary threshold. So before, where you had 300,000 or 50,000, $1 is consideration. That's a monetary threshold, could be reported. So kind of crazy, but yes. All non-finance transactions, some finance transactions, which we'll go over, and all covered transactions must be reported regardless of value. Okay. So anything that's covered by the new rule has to be reported. So how we determine who will be reporting, and Faith touched on this when she said it's not just the title company anymore. This is kind of like a long slide, but at the end of the day, they kind of have like what we call a reporting cascade. And so this is going to fall on us. first of all, a person listed as the closing or settlement agent on the closing or settlement statement. In most cases, most of your experiences here will be the escrow, your escrow officer, because in California, we use escrow. The reason they have to create these cascades is some states don't actually use an escrow. They might use attorneys or some other form of settlement closure. So they maybe just use a title company. So this right now for you guys in Southern California, this falls under the escrow company, who's ever doing the escrow. Do you want to add to that, Faith, at all, or?
Yeah, what this also means is every piece of money that comes in. So it's not just, that final deposit of that wire, but if there's 10 different parties gifting funds to the buyer and the buyer's in a trust or a LLC or a corporation, and you guys know this because you guys are realtors, sometimes you have investors and they have lots of different routes of money coming in. Every single bit of that money is going to have to be reported. So if there's 10 $30,000 wires, each one has to be reported. And this is why I think it becomes important for realtors to know is sometimes we get those wires in escrow like 24 hours prior to the close of escrow. And then we're going to have to gather up a bunch of pieces of information from these parties to then put into a portal, fill it all out, and make sure that it's all clear and everything's in before the escrow can close. Because no one's going to want to close these escrows with the liability that's on the settlement agencies without that information. So
Yeah, and
that's why it's really super important.
And it's very severe penalties, by the way. It's,
Right.
what is it, 100,000 per transaction up to, or can start, and even jail time.
And if
So-
you just don't report, or if they find any settlement agency isn't following this protocol, one of the penalties is 200 up to 250,000 and jail time
Yeah.
for a
So-
specific person not reporting.
Yeah, nobody makes that much money, I don't think. So in our side of the that they want to do that. So any questions on reporting? So essentially it falls onto the escrow, your escrow officer, your escrow team. Okay.
We have two questions in the chat.
Okay, go for it.
One from Helen asking about inheritance from parent to child. Do you need to report there?
Faith, I'll let you take that one.
If there is money being transferred, yes. And if it's
cash
in a trust, yes.
and involved in a purchase of the property. So that's a little bit different. It's essentially, I might get $1 million from my mom when she passes. If I take that $1 million and I try to purchase a house and in a trust, then yes, I'm going to have that reported. If I put it into a private, like if I just buy it myself and I'm just withdrawing money from my trust and I say, okay, I'm buying this house and I'm not buying it from another entity. It's just two people, regular people. I don't believe it has to be reported. Is that correct, Faith?
If it's, yeah.
It's just two people. We're not an
Exactly. As
entity. We're not hiding
individuals,
anything. We can
yes.
track the money. We know where it came from. Your taxes are showing it. You've got all of that. It's not a reportable because it's just a person. You're just
Again,
that's
you're
just
right.
a source of funds.
Remember
right?
the words legal entity, right?
Right.
So it's a trust, LLC, corporation.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more question from Karen. She said, based on what is reported, can this hold up our escrow?
Oh, it can.
It can,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So we'll talk a little bit in a couple more slides about how we can work together as a team, but yeah, it can. It's scary. So yeah, it's a thing. Definition of a covered residential transaction. So I think, again, we'll just review this again. I'm going to read it just because I want you guys, I know you can see it, but I just want to stress it because this is what it's going to fall under. Real property located in the United States containing a structure designed for occupancy by 1 to 4 families. So not commercial, residential.
Residential.
land located in the United States in which the transferee intends to build a structure designed principally for occupancy by 1 to 4 families. So you guys are all agents. You know what real property is, right? This is basically the definition of real property. A unit designed principally for occupancy by 1 to 4 families within a structure or land located in the United States, aka condominium, manufactured homes fall into this. Shares in a cooperative housing corporation, which the underlying property is located in co-op units, right? Mixed use property, well, so where it's containing both residential and commercial units, if less than 5 residential units. So it's still got that 1 to 4 thing going on. And then just basically assume all real property transactions are covered transactions. That's the safest way to go. Okay. Any questions on that? Good. Okay. Did you know, Faith, you want to talk about the key statistics? Because we think this
Sure.
is really an important fact that you guys should know to see who's going to be affected.
I mean, I really wanted everybody to raise their hands and tell me, how many of you have done deals where the buyer was an LLC, a trust, or a corporation. If you've had any investors that did a fix and flip, anything like that. So we did a little bit of research and we found out that nearly 1/3, a little over 32% of all homes were purchased with all cash in the first half of 2025. This figure includes purchases made by individuals, investors, both small and large, and second home buyers. So you guys all probably deal with clients like this, purchases via LLC or trust. In 2024, it was 13%. So it's just they're seeing the results are going up and up and up and up of who's purchasing properties with these types of entities.
Yeah.
So
and
it's gonna be a lot of escrows.
A lot of second home buyers, they are in a trust,
Right.
that, like they've figured that out, right? So
Right.
interesting statistics. Obviously, we don't have the second half of 2025 yet, but I'm sure that's going to be even more probably. So what is considered a non-finance transaction? So Annie, to your question, all cash purchases, seller carrybacks. Who would have thought, right? Private lender funding. Transactions where the lender is not regulated for the following, like by the Bank Secrecy Act, anti-money laundering, or suspicious activity reporting. Those are 3 areas where certain banks are regulated, mortgage lenders, things like that. So if they're not regulated by any one of these 3, then it's going to require that they report. So who does that mean? So reportable under this new ruling is many credit unions, hard money loans, as Faith had mentioned, private party lenders, including, and I know a lot of you guys run into this, where you have LLC set up just for lending purposes, right? So you might have an investor who's a couple of investors. I think Faith, you had said, like where we have maybe 10 investors coming in to do a fix and flip, and they set up these LLCs so that they can run their finances through it because they're now part of this investment, right? Well, that's going to be something that has to be reported. Seller carryback transactions as well. So if it's over that, if it's any dollar amount, cash, seller carryback, that's not regulated by any banking system. So it's really, those are reportable situations. Exempt will be obviously most banks, savings and loan companies, large mortgage companies, and then regulated credit unions. Proof of exemption when financing, and this is something that when we get your purchase open or your open escrow and you send that to us and you notify us who the lender is on the transaction, our escrow officer is going to go through and check, do they have an FDIC? Is there an FDIC number? Is there an NMLS number, an NCUA number for a credit union? So we have to verify that. And I don't know if you want to touch on that, Faith, like the behind the scenes on that a little bit about what they have to do.
Yeah, so there's websites that each escrow officer is going to go to. There's a website where they are going to put in that number. So we right away have to get with the lender, get those numbers, verify that they are a part of it, and then those we don't have to report those people. But anybody that doesn't have that, then we have to put through the reporting and we have to do a lot more investigation and get a lot more information on each transaction.
Yep. So any questions in the,
Yes, we have one, and it was from the previous slide.
oh, yeah.
Regarding the 32.8, is that a national average or was that for California?
That was a national average.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's probably higher in California, don't you
I
think?
was just gonna say it's probably higher in
Probably
California.
higher, yeah. Okay. Any questions on who's reportable, who's not? I'd see some extra stuff going in there, but I don't know. Okay.
Nope, no, we're good. We can move
Okay,
forward.
perfect. All right, covered entities. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, this includes both domestic and foreign entities such as corporations, limited liability companies, partnerships, general or limited, doesn't matter. Other legal vehicles commonly used to hold property. So there's a few other ones out there. I don't know them off the top of my head, but there's all kinds of ways people can do things. Assume reporting if any of the buyer is not a natural person, not an entity. Okay, so if you're working with investors, folks in trust, all of that sort of thing, they're going to purchase the house in trust. That's a reportable. That falls under the reporting.
Yes, the
Okay.
trust is included in that.
Yeah,
Yep.
so to answer your question, Annie, yes, a trust would be included.
Yep, absolutely. And then trusts are, I'm going to actually talk about that because that's probably the most common that we run into with people is trusts are covered in this rule. So good lead in, Annie. Transferee trusts that are included are revocable and irrevocable trusts, domestic and foreign trusts. A trust is reportable if it's a legal owner of the property and not exempt under specific criteria. So the exemptions would be, there's a whole bunch of them. The trust that is a securities reporting issuer defined in whatever that code is. Don't know what that is personally. I don't know if you guys do, but our escrow officers do. So a trust in which the trustee is a securities reporting issuer, a statutory trust defined as a trust created or authorized under the Uniform Statutory Trust Entity Act or as enacted by a state. Estate planning trust where one, the transfer is for no consideration. So in other words, I think somebody asked that question, if I get an inheritance, if you're just moving a property in, that's kind of what that means. There's no consideration. There's no dollar amount. You're just, you've got estate planning, you've got some properties and you want to move those into that trust. There's no money included, brought into that, then it's not reportable because there's no consideration. There's no money. And then the transferor, seller and or trust, their spouse, it's also the settlor or grantor of the trust. So as you're creating the trust and you're transferring properties in, that's not something that's a reportable act. Okay. So no need to worry about that. Any questions? So if somebody buys a property and then they move it into the trust, if they bought it for cash and it wasn't in the trust, and they're just buying it as an individual, that is not necessarily a reportable situation, right? Because we talked about that. That's an individual, not an entity. And then they later move it into the trust. Again, that's an exemption to move into that trust, okay? Because the whole thing is about money laundering. Did I confuse anybody on that?
I think you're good.
Okay, good. All right. What transactions do not require reporting? Easements, obviously. Death of an individual, including transfer pursuant to a will or trust or bankruptcy. Court order or supervision. So if somebody's, you have to sell this property or whatever that, and they know what's happening or buy this property, buy this person out. Divorce or dissolution of marriage or civil union. So that's not a reportable. Made for no consideration by an individual or spouse or a trust where one or both are settlers or grantors. So we're just transferring property from one place to an entity or one entity to another entity where there's no consideration involved. And then to qualified intermediate pursuant to the 1031 exchange. So if you have a quadro or whatever, or you're doing, a 1031, that's one that they can see where that money's coming from, right? So it's already tracked. It's already being tracked. And then where no reporting person exists. Okay. So any questions on that? You do a lot like that. Okay. So many of you have maybe you've already seen this if you've done a purchase contract. When you went into your zip forms and pulled that purchase packet out, you should see that CAR has already added the federal reporting requirement purchase addendum. Take a minute to read that, okay? This is something that you're obviously putting in front of your client. And this is where we are helping you, right? So we want you to be proactive about this, talking to your clients, setting some expectations with them. This actually came out in September, and even though this has been moved to March 1st, it's still part of your packet, and it is still something that you need to talk to your clients about, explain it to them, and prepare them. Because if, let's say, I mean, we're in November right now, they may not find a house yet, or maybe you're just starting the search. But this is something that you want to prepare them for. So take a look at that form. It's going to be part of your purchase packet. You can get it on zip forms. It's already there. Now, the cool thing is, you know, every December, a CAR comes out with new forms. I believe they are trying to incorporate this addendum or some portion of it as part of the purchase agreement, since it is going to be a requirement. So keep an eye out on those December forms. I'm sure you'll be talking with your brokers if they do happen to make this as one of the changes. Just another page on the purchase contract, right? So I don't know how many pages we're up to yet, but right now, but it's just one more. And then EOG, us, your strategic and proactive partners. So a way that we can, there's several ways here, obviously, that we can work together in partnership to help you have a more successful transaction is, first of all, do a pre-open escrow. If you're working with a buyer, you can always get that thing going. Flag us that you're working with a buyer that's an LLC and partnership or trust, and we can help coordinate that. We can start asking for those documents ahead of time. We can help identify. There's going to be some checklists and things like that that we're working on right now to have ready for you. So make sure you escrow confirm. We're going to be confirming whether the transaction is non-financed, all cash or private. So you're going to open that with us. You're already going to have had a conversation with your buyer. We're going to provide a compliance checklist to you once we determine that it's that we need to do a reporting on it. I think Faith, the team is working on that, and we'll have it ready when the time comes. We're going to need to obtain owners' names, addresses, and all the control information. So we're going to go out and request that information. But we need your help in preparing your clients for this, that they need to be a part of it. They need to cooperate with us. I think there is some criteria within that addendum. I'm not sure if that's going to change or what they're going to do when they come out with the new forms, but I think on that form right now, it says 7 days from request. But we need your help, right? Obviously, we're going to try to get that information just like we do today when we're trying to get information. But at some point, if we're not getting that, we're going to have to engage you and say, hey, your clients are not, responding to our request. What that means is that we can't move forward with the closing. So we might be all ready to go. And if we don't have our data that we need to report on that transaction, we cannot move forward. It's not going to close on time. So it really is in your best interest and our best interest to work together as a team. So we'll update you if it's a reportable transaction. We'll let you know if we're not getting cooperation. And then obviously so that you can adjust your timelines. Like, let's say you have a client that left the country and we can't reach out to them. Like they bought their house, they did their inspections, and they took off on this vacation they've been planning forever, and we can't get a hold of them. And the close of escrow date was supposed to happen while they were out and they were coming back to their new house. Well, if we don't have this information, they're not going to be coming back to their new house. So it's going to be on you to adjust those timelines and set those expectations accordingly. Faith, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think it's just like any other escrow right now. We have various reporting agencies that we work with. So we work with the IRS, we work with the Franchise Tax Board, we work with lots of different agencies, but this is just another agency we're going to have to report to. So the important part is obviously, what's the thing that they say in every single escrow? And it's like, I'm forgetting it.
I don't know.
Time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence.
This is really going to be a time is of the essence situation on every single one of these reporting transactions.
For sure, for sure. Any questions on that, you guys? Nope.
We don't have any questions in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what are some of the concerns that you guys might be having or that we've identified in the industry right now? Obviously, privacy concerns, right? Those are some of the things that you might butt up against with your clients. Like, why do I have to fill out this checklist or this information? Why do they have to get it? We kind of have that sometimes today. You ever have those clients that, you know, when they get their SI from title and they're like, I don't want to have to fill this out. Why do they need this, right? Well, okay, you don't have to fill it out, but then we're not moving forward, right? Because it's just the way it is. So privacy concerns, we understand, we're all in the same boat, but it's one of those things. Collection of personal ID data obviously raises risks for buyers and entities. Increased compliance burden. Escrow companies must invest in new systems and training, right? Like we have to spend time training all of our employees. You guys don't care about that, but you do kind of, right? Like you want to work with an escrow company that actually is taking the time to do this, that is going to be compliant, that is going to keep you guys safe and keep your buyers safe. The time pressure, 30 to 60-day reporting window, obviously that puts a risk of punishment on the reporting agency if it's not done timely. So some of it may require that we hire departments and get some things in place. So make sure when you're working with an escrow company that they do have something in place for this and they are reporting properly, because you know what they say, it all rolls downhill, right? Unclear guidance right now, that's probably one of the biggest concerns I know for us. You know, the industry, we're kind of still we're waiting for final real estate report form. Like what are those data points going to be? What exactly are we collecting from the client? Is that changing from what we're doing today versus, I mean, is there going to be more information that we have to collect? So we're still kind of waiting for that. They haven't opened the portal yet, so we can kind of get our eyeballs on it.
Yeah, so Dia, just wanted to chime in on this one. The word on the street is there's going to be 111 data points that we're going to have to collect between buyers, sellers, account information, all things like that. So 111 data points for every time we get a wire that comes in, anytime that money comes in. So it's a lot of information. That's what's you know, the word on the street is, but we're waiting for that portal to open and exactly what they're going to require before.
Yeah, like is a data point like first name, last name, or
Exactly.
is that one data point, right? So we
Right.
don't know. But we're still waiting and we know that that'll come out or they'll push it. You know,
Right.
that'll be what'll happen. And then of course the impact on business, the potential buyer or seller hesitant to do because they feel it's invasive. So, you know, from an agent perspective, you guys just have to put their mind at ease, and this is to protect them, you know, and to protect our, you know, the anti-money, you know, there's lots of crime that comes from that. So obviously we want to do that. So here's some opportunities just to kind of throw at you for marketing and client education. Obviously, you can turn this into a value add for your client. You know, let them know that you do work with an escrow partner that is fully prepared for this upcoming rule. So as you're talking about that form, or as they add that to the purchase contract, you know, say, hey, I've got it. I know that my escrow team at Escrow Options Group, they have trained us on this. They are already got everything in place. They are ready for this. We're going to be fine. No one's going to get in trouble. Everything is going to be fine. We're going to make it as smooth and easy for you. The last thing we want to do is stress out our clients, right? Like our job is to take all of that stress on ourselves. That's one of the things we do in this business, from the escrow to the realtor. That's what you guys do. That's what they hire you for. So the whole thing is to just put their mind at ease and work with a company like Escrow Options Group that's prepared. You can also it might help you get your clients pre-qualified, right? Like getting them going, like having that conversation. Is any part of this going to be subject to the AML rules, which is the money laundering rules, right? So where's the money coming from? Having that conversation. So you can kind of get, you meet that buyer and you're like, oh, are they going to finance? Are they cash? I don't know if I want to ask them just yet. You're showing them houses, but you don't really know. This is a great opportunity for you to be able to talk to them about, like, I need to talk to you about what you're financing. What your thoughts are on how you're going to finance this. or how you're going to pay for this property, because there are these rules that we have to be prepared for. So that's your intro even into asking for that. And then also consider advising your clients to obviously engage in legal or tax counsel, right? So they need to understand what their entity structures are, and you know, is this going to apply and create some sort of a burden, or you know, require them to give out information they don't want to give out. So just really preparing them and turning it into a positive of how you are more informed and how you can help them by working with like a company like us, like Escrow Options Group. We're here for you. So really quick, just to kind of go over a summary, obviously covered transactions are residential real estate transfer transactions, applies to any state, non-finance, no money threshold, and the transferee is an entity or a trust. So the buyer is an entity or a trust, and then information being reported as of now. Obviously, the reporting person, that would be escrow. The name of the transfer buyer, entity, or trust. Beneficial owners, anybody that's going to benefit from this transfer. The seller's information, source of funds, what the consideration is, and property information. And if there's anything else, we'll find out. We just don't know yet. So, and then what this means for you is partnering with a proactive escrow company like EOG. We're compliance confidence for you and your clients. Fewer surprises at closing. We like no surprises at closing. Sometimes we have them, but we like none, and this will help. And then a trusted resource to guide you through the new regulations. We obviously stay on top of it. We have in-house legal counsel that is always working with our teams, our operations, our sales teams, and making sure, and our escrow teams, obviously, making sure that we're up to date on the most current regulations, and we stay out of trouble that way, right? Faith, you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to say we are going to be doing more trainings about this. So the more information that we get, and when the portal opens, everything that even when we get into this FinCEN stuff and we have issues that arise, we're going to talk about it a lot more. We're not going to stop until we feel every agent is informed and really ready to take on any type of transaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's our team. We've got quite a big team. I don't know, Tom, you want to do a little spiel on how many offices we are and all of that?
Of course. You guys did a great presentation today. Thank you guys for that. It was really good information. I did put a little blurb in the chat for those of you that don't know how to communicate with other agents out there about FinCEN and the benefit of working with your services. So the biggest thing is we want to make sure that you guys are aware you have one of the largest escrow companies in Southern California. We have 12 offices covering multiple counties. So there's really no reason why you guys shouldn't be working with us. And then the benefit of us having kind of the leg up with the knowledge of FinCEN and our team already starting to kind of implement some rules and regulations for that will really protect you and your clients. So we really urge you, this is your time to really truly become a really good negotiator. Utilize the leverage of your services that you guys work with and fight to utilize your escrow and your title and the companies that you guys do service, because we will protect you and your clients now and in the future. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware we have multiple different languages throughout the company. We have multiple offices throughout different counties. So we are definitely here for you. One of our reps did sneak on, so I want to give her a moment to just kind of introduce herself. Amy, you have a second to say hi?
Yes, hello. It's great to see all of you. Again, my name is Amy Nieto, and I work South Orange County. So we all are here to help you with your business, of course. Let us do all the things that you don't need to do so you can continue focusing on what you do best, and that's buying and selling. So please reach out to us for anything that you may need help with. And we are here for you, and thank you for your support.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm going to let you close it out, Dia. You did such an amazing.
Well, I just want to say thank you
Dia.
to everyone that took the time today. We are here to provide information. If we don't know the answers, we have lots of resources that we can go to. So, you know, don't struggle through this. anything that you need, we're here for you. I like to be the source of the source for my clients. So I might not even be escrow related, but I might know somebody that can help you. So I think all of my team is like that as well. We collaborate very closely together as a team. So, you know, if you reach out to Tom and Tom doesn't have an answer for something, he's got huge resources to figure out what that might be. So same thing with Natasha, Faith, Amy, Liz. We are all here to support you, and we want to be successful, and we want you to be successful, and it's going to be a great 2026, even with this kind of stuff, right? So
Yeah, bring on the cash transactions.
bring them on. Let's do it. That's right. We're ready for it. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Don't take your foot off the gas though, right? Like this is preparing for Q1. Everything you do right now is going to be your January, February, and March. And so let us know how we can help you with that. So have an awesome day, and thank you again for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.